Hi, I'm Dave Snyder with the Prescott Sunrise Lions, and we're doing the Prescott Sunrise Lions show presented by the Prescott Media Center at Prescott Armory. My name again is David Snyder. I'm a CPA, MBA, and EA with my own company, David A. Snyder CPA, in Prescott, Arizona. We recently had the Lions in general, the Lions in this community, just had some community events that just occurred, like the Lions Pancake Breakfast. And currently there are some camps going on at Camp Toddy in the White Mountains. These camps are for the mentally impaired kids and other disabled kids that have been going on for several decades, and the Lions have been doing projects like this for the whole of our 100-year existence, and especially when Helen Keller challenged the Lions to be the Knights of the Blind in the 1920s. One of our main local money-making ventures is the Prescott Sunrise Lions calendar. We plan on getting these out in October so that we and others in the community can take advantage of the tax credits that can help you save money on your taxes, honor our commitment to our sponsors so they can benefit from the calendar also. There's a lot of tax credits out there. Ours is basically used to be called the Working Poor Tax Credit. Now it's called the Charitable Organization Tax Credit. And that has risen from $400 last year in 2015 to $800 married filing jointly in 2016, and half of that for the other statuses like single, qualified, widower with a child, and head of household. So there's four other tax credits. There's the Arizona Military Family Relief Fund, which is $400 married filing jointly and $200 other statuses. And you have to sort of get that in by October because it has a cap. It has a cap of $1 million, and people contribute to that all throughout the year. So that helps military families that with their military personnel that are on deployment. And then there's three others. There's the foster care tax credit, which is $1,000 married filing jointly and $500 other statuses. There's the school tuition, which is private school tuition, which last year in 2016 was $2,173. I'm sure it increases. It increases every year. That's married filing jointly, and half of that other statuses. And then there's the Prescott schools. Like PUSD, it could be Prescott High School, it could be a program like Future Business Leaders of America. And that also is $400, $200 other statuses. All but the Arizona Military Family Relief Fund go through April 15th now. So that has helped our club, the Prescott Sunrise Lions, increase from $65,000 in 2015 to about $115,000 this last year in 2016. Through April of 2017, April 15th of 2017. So we give all that money back to the community. $33,000 went down to the Del Webb, and that went to, and there was a lot that went to sight and hearing projects we do throughout the community, Yavapai School nurses. It was just spread out throughout the community, and we don't get paid or anything, so we do a lot of good things in the area, and with that money. Now we're starting to do another initiative. Lions Club International is now working on a global initiative, the worldwide diabetes epidemic. We are working on it locally in conjunction with the YMCA and other entities, and we will probably explain this on a future show. Now, our guest today is Frank Shankwitz, a local who happened to start the Make-A-Wish Foundation in the 1970s. Thank you for coming today, Frank.
Thank you. Appreciate the invitation.
Yes, yes. I heard the story. I've heard all this. Well, the original story. But let me tell you. First, let me ask you where you came from originally, and what brought you to Prescott, and tell us about yourself.
Well, I was born in Chicago, and kind of an interesting story. And in fact, such an interesting story as a childhood is why we're in pre-production of a major motion picture about my life, from my young years to the people that influenced me all through my years in high school, Air Force years, etc. But born in Chicago, and my mother left me when I was 2 years old, came back, and she went to Arizona. And she came back when I was 5 years old, kidnapped me off a playground, and took me on this long adventure to get back to Arizona, which took her 5 years. And she took a strange route through Michigan. We lived in the tents, we lived in the back of the car, just a very poor existence. And at 10 years old, we ended up in Seligman, Arizona, where I did grade school up in Seligman. But it was there that the people started to help us out. When she hit Seligman, we were broke. There wasn't a penny. We were sleeping in the car, but it was on the side of the road, no gas. And a ranch family took us in. And for the next 6 months, we slept on their kitchen floor in some bedrolls. But the townspeople in Seligman at that time, in this 1953, only about 500 people were helping us. Predominantly Mexican and Indian population there. Were bringing us beans, tortillas, everything they could to help us out. They got me a job as a dishwasher at 10 years old, started working full time. My mother got a job as a maid. But a gentleman up in Seligman with the famous snow cap that's still up there, iconic thing on Route 66, became my father figure, my mentor, and taught me everything from sports, music. But the biggest thing he taught me was integrity and character. And at like 10, 11 years old, he said, "Frank, when you can someday, give back." And I said, "Juan, how can I give back? We don't have a thing. People are feeding us." He said, "You don't have to have money to give back." He said, "Look at Mrs. Sanchez over there. Look at all the weeds in her yard. She's a widow. She needs help. You can go over there and pull those weeds, rake that yard. Look at Mr. Ortega. He's got that old caboose from a wreck on the Santa Fe line. They're trying to make the family home. You can help sand and paint because they're always feeding you." So he instilled that idea of giving back, and I always remembered that. In 7th grade, my mother left me again. She said, "You're on your own," and Juan arranged for me to stay in Seligman, in fact, living with the widow Sanchez. And I was devastated. What are you, 11, 12, when you start 7th grade? What am I going to do? And he's the one that taught me, always turn that negative to a positive, which is a popular term today, but in the 50s it wasn't. And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You live in this old crummy travel trailer your mom eventually got. You didn't even have plumbing in there. Now you're going to live at Mrs. Sanchez's house. You're going to have your own bedroom for the first time in your life. You're going to have indoor plumbing. And not only that, Mrs. Sanchez is the best cook in town. You don't have to worry about meals again."
Yeah.
And I'm only paying her $20 a week in room and board, and I'm making $26 a week. He said, "First time you're going to have money in your pocket," because everything I made before went to my mother. And he said, "So you've turned that negative into a positive." And again, I remembered that. But following grade school there, I moved up here to Prescott and rejoined my mother and went to Prescott High School, graduated in 1961, so I'm giving away my age for the people who can do quick math. And following high school, went into the Air Force, did 4 years in the Air Force, stationed in England. And coming back, I was offered a job at Safeway because so many people in Prescott here, my coaches, my teachers just helped me out. Made special arrangements at Safeway that there was a game night for football, made sure I got off. The after-school dance, made sure I was off. But I had to go back to work, worked sometimes till 2 in the morning to get the job done. But again, instilling that integrity, that work ethic. And the teachers too, coming from Seligman, a little bit lower standards in school compared to Prescott schools, right away they started touring me to help me get back up so I could stay with my class. But like I say, after the Air Force, went down to Motorola and worked for as an engineer, took advantage of the GI Bill. Worked there for 7 years, advanced, just great job at Motorola because they were really pushing for the Vietnam era veterans. And they really helped us out with college and so on. But I got very bored there. I didn't like the Phoenix life. I'm the little guy, Seligman in Prescott, Arizona. And some high school classmates of mine had joined Arizona Highway Patrol. And they said, "You ought to join, just on a whim, put in an application." And I thought, why not? So I did, and that particular class, there was 1,000 applicants. They selected 50 of us, and I happened to be one of them. And left the position at Motorola, left a great paying job, but started doing an adventure that lasted for the next 42 years. And my first assignment was down in Yuma, Arizona as a car officer. And I got involved with Special Olympics, which is the first time I started working with the kids. And I started thinking, hey, Juan, I think I'm starting to give back a little bit. This was my first opportunity. And a year later, in 1973, I was asked to join a new 10-man motorcycle unit that was going to work the whole state of Arizona, 2 weeks at one town, 2 weeks at another. And during this period, the TV show Chips was very popular. You remember? You're showing your age, David.
I watched it. I think I was probably 6 or 7 then.
And that was the popular age for that show. And because of that show, all of a sudden, when we rode into town just like the Chips. In fact, we trained with California Highway Patrol initially. And our uniforms, our motorcycles, equipment, everything was identical except obviously ours said Arizona. But we'd ride into town, the two-man team, and the kids would yell, your age group, hey Ponch, hey John. And it was a great PR thing. So I asked permission to start going on our off-duty time to the grade schools, like little towns like Seligman or Ashfork or whatever, and talk about bicycle safety, which the kids could care less about. They just wanted to get on the motorcycles.
Of course.
And play with, yeah, and it was great PR. We just loved it. And then in 1978, I was involved in a high-speed chase down in Parker, Arizona on the Colorado River, 80 miles an hour with a drunk driver in a 25 zone, twists and curves and everything. Another drunk driver ran a stop sign right in front of me. I hit him broadside at 80 miles an hour. I was pronounced dead at the scene. My partner couldn't revive me. He called in what we called 963 AA, officer killed in the line of duty. Off-duty emergency room nurse from California stopped. Said, hey, can I please try? She identified herself. Can I please try and revive him? And they said, well, go ahead, but we have no vitals. For 4 minutes, she performed CPR, heart massage, and obviously brought me back to life.
Absolutely.
But it took 6 months to recover from that accident. I had a traumatic brain injury, skull fracture, all sorts of broken bones, a lot of missing skin. And during that period, I just said, why was I spared? Why did God spare me? And every police officer I ever worked with, David, believes in a higher being, no matter what your religion. You go to work every day, you say a prayer, please allow me to come home. You get home at night, thank you for allowing me to come home. And my question was, why was I spared? I learned that in 1980, I was introduced, the Highway Patrol was introduced to a little boy named Chris, 7 years old with terminal leukemia. And he told his mother in a hospital, I wish when I grow up I could be a Highway Patrol motorcycle officer like my heroes Ponch and John. A friend of the family contacted the Highway Patrol, told them about Chris's wish, and said, is there anything you can do to make that happen? We went beyond, the commanders went beyond. They got authorized from Chris's mother and doctor to get a helicopter to his hospital in Scottsdale, pick him up and fly him to our Phoenix headquarters, where they asked me to be standing by with my motorcycle. And I guess I was chosen because of what I had done with the children around the state.
Yep.
But a helicopter
Experience.
landed. I expected our paramedics to help this little boy out. I had never met him, and he'd just come off IVs. Instead, this little pair of red sneakers jumps out of the helicopter, runs over to my motorcycle, high five, hi, I'm Chris, can I get on your motorcycle? Well, of course you can, Chris. But he had watched Chips so much that he knew every switch and button on there. I mean, like I said, our equipment
great.
was identical. Yeah. This is a siren, can I turn it on? This is the red lights, this is your flashers. He opened up the saddlebag. It's the same what Ponch has in here. It was just so much fun. And I'm watching his mother and she's crying. And I don't understand that at first. Then it dawns on me, she has her 7-year-old back. This little boy's wish is becoming true. Well, to condense this story, Chris went on to become the first and only honorary Highway Patrol officer in the history of the Arizona Highway Patrol. Now, this is in April 1980, so we're talking a little over 37 years ago. Complete with a custom-made Highway Patrol uniform, his own badge, which is still assigned to him today, but most important, his motor wings that made him an official motorcycle officer. And in fact, those wings, when I got those, I got a call, and Chris is back in the hospital in a coma. He's not going to survive the day. And I just picked up those wings from the jeweler. They were custom made. And as I pinned those wings on his uniform, Chris came out of that coma. He just looked at me with this big smile. Am I a motorcycle officer now? Yes, you are, Chris. His wish had become true. Unfortunately, he died a couple hours later. And I always like to think maybe those wings helped carry him to heaven. But we learned, our commanders learned that Chris was going to be buried in a little town called Kewanee, Illinois, and asked me and another motorcycle officer to go back and give him a full police funeral. We had lost a fellow officer, which we did. But the press had picked this up. They were following every move we're making. Why are you doing this? And so on. And in fact, the Illinois State Police, City Police, County Police all joined us in the little town of Kewanee, Illinois, to help bury this little boy. He was buried in uniform. His grave marker reads, Chris Gracious, Arizona Trooper. But flying home, I just started thinking, here's this boy who had a wish, and we made it happen. Why can't we do that for other children? And at 36,000 feet somewhere over Iowa or Kansas, that's when he was born, let's start this new foundation, the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
That's amazing. I'm amazed by that story. I'm amazed by your beginning story.
Oh, thank you.
I'm very amazed by that. I mean, I heard it differently when we were talking before, but that just inspires. That just inspires. So that was the that inspiration for the whole.
That was the inspiration, yes.
For the whole thing. So which okay. So what other kind of wishes were you a part of?
Well, putting the foundation together was the biggest thing. It took me 6 months. I'm still a full-time police officer. I'm a motorcycle officer with the Highway Patrol and trying to do this. But the hardest thing, Dave, was find people, somebody that believed in that idea. Everybody I talked to, Arizona Corporation Commission, you need 5 board members to start a new nonprofit at that time. And to try and find those other 4 people was an almost impossible task. I told them what I wanted to do. It's silly, it'll never work. It's just, and I started thinking about one. Turn those negatives to the positives. And that's what I did. I finally found the like-minded people that helped me put the foundation together. And in November of 1980, we became official. In March of 1981, we granted our first official wish, again, to a 7-year-old boy, again, terminal leukemia. And in those days, leukemia was a death sentence. And now we changed the mission. It used to be for children with terminal illnesses. Now it's for children with life-threatening illnesses, because through the grace of God, modern medicine, about 70% of the children are in fact surviving.
It's terrific.
It is. It's fantastic. And you say, wishes, how many wishes I've involved in? For the past 37 years, just literally thousands. But the thing I want to point out, because of this one little boy, the Make-A-Wish Foundation has grown to 63 our national chapters, 36 international chapters on 5 continents. And I just got this figure last week. Since 1980 or 1981, we have now granted 415,000 wishes worldwide, all because of this one little boy.
Wow.
So what a legacy.
And you?
Well,
because you drove it home.
Well, I had an idea to make it work, but it takes thousands of people to make it work. But if it hadn't been for that boy, if it hadn't been for Chips, none of this would ever happen.
No.
Yeah. So what a legacy he left.
And you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So do you have any? When did you separate yourself? I mean, did it become bigger?
Oh yeah. I had to make a career choice, and I couldn't do both. I was working 2 or 3 jobs to try and fund it, because I never took a salary. I wanted all the money to go into the foundation, and I wanted the transparency, the accountability. What is this police officer trying to do? That's why I made sure every penny went to the foundation, that I didn't get a dime on that. But we started realizing we have to hire the professionals in the nonprofit world. And like I said, I had to make a career choice, but I wasn't that professional. So we started researching to get the professionals in. And our board decided, okay, now's the time to hire and turn it over to somebody who's done that. And over the years, we now have this national office. As I say, we've kissed a lot of frogs, but the current prince, the current president and CEO of the national office, has made this foundation grow to what it is today. He's been there about 12 years now. And just outstanding work that he's done to make the growth of this foundation.
Over 400,000 wishes. That's
and growing.
Significant.
I mean, and what's an interesting figure, as we're here for about 28 minutes or so today, that's a strange figure, because every 28 minutes, somewhere in the world, a wish is granted. That figure amazes me, that average figure.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing.
So it grew internationally. Do you have any idea how that happened?
Well, we just started, again, the press. Our biggest thing was in 1983, NBC Dateline did a special on us. And because of the press picked this up, they had never heard of anything like this. It just started growing. And that's when we started getting the calls. So how do I start a chapter in Nebraska? How do I do one in Ohio? How do I do one in England, Ireland, Germany? And I mean, it just started going like that. And it just started growing. It's almost like a franchising type thing. But it's all controlled out of the Phoenix area, with the national office and the international office was the overseeing of all the chapters, obviously to make sure they're all on the same mission.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen some wishes through the NFL and through other organizations.
Oh, just amazing. Yeah, amazing. Some of the things that happen. I just got done with the speaking engagement and interviews over in LA last week, and one of the people in the audience, she's a little girl in her 20s, that's little girl to me, but just kept looking and waving and smiling. And after I took a break, she came, I just want to hug you. And I said, well, thank you. I'm a wish child. And to me, that's the greatest thing, to be able to meet these children and the parents, grandparents, usually on a meet and greet after my speaking, is an hour and a half to 2 hours. because just meeting these children or the parents, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, that's my payback.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And is there any other? Do you have any other stories that you want to tell us about the Make-A-Wish Foundation?
About the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And unfortunately, we had a chapter or sub-chapter up here in the Prescott area for several years. And during when the economy took the big tank, which you know more than anybody, and I was on the board for the Arizona chapter, they made the decision, and to me still the unwise decision, to move the Prescott office. We had an office right by the Elk Cedar, the greatest storefront. We have more people just walking by, coming in, how can I help? But one of the wishes that was so much fun was a little girl a Navajo girl from the reservation, was down in Phoenix Children's Hospital, and we learned she had a wish, and she was watching the Discovery Channel and History Channel. She had never seen television. And she says, my wish is to have a TV installed in our home on the reservation. And the wish granters are always two people that find out what the child's wish is. They interview the child, they do a forensic type interview that we taught them to learn it's the child's wish and not the parents. The parents, let's go on a cruise or something. But she said, I want a television. And wish granters thought, well, this is so easy. And they assigned a group out of the Prescott to help put that together because it's closer to the reservation.
Yeah.
Well, I explained to them, I don't think it's going to be that easy. This maybe $1,000 wish is going to be about $12,000, $15,000. We learned she lived in Hogan, no electricity.
Wow.
So how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to get a satellite dish. We're going to get the generators. We're going to get the gas supplies. We're going to get everything else to make this happen.
Your budget probably was the one that run out on that.
Yeah, and it just went very expensive, but it didn't matter. We granted that wish.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you mentioned when we were in the green room per se,
the green room,
that you there's a Make-A-Wish Foundation for adults.
Well, there is. It's called the Bucket List Foundation, and it's based out of Phoenix. I don't know when it started, but I've researched a little bit. People are saying, I'm 20, I'm 30, I'm 80, whatever. How do I get a wish? And I refer them to the Bucket List Foundation. And there's another one in California, too. I can't remember the name, but for Arizona, it's based out of Phoenix, the Bucket List Foundation. Now, somebody said, kick the Bucket Foundation. No, it's Bucket List Foundation. So just go to their website. That's all you need to do. Just do a Google search, the Bucket List Foundation.
That'd be interesting, too. I mean, it just follows that movie.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So what are you involved in now?
Well, the biggest thing for the Prescott area is and it's very humbling. Hollywood contacted me a couple of years ago and said, we're going to do a movie about your life. And I said, no, you're not. Yes, we are. And I thought it was a documentary, but it's a feature film. And the name of it is called Wishman, by the way, the same title as my book that's available on Amazon. Here's a little plug, right? And it's based on a story on this. And it's a period piece from 1950 to 1980, from my childhood years, the people influenced it, to when I started the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And it's filmed predominantly here in the Prescott area. In fact, we start filming August 14th of this year. We're in Seligman. We're just kind of all over Yavapai County. And Arizona doesn't give tax credits anymore to the film industry, to the studios. The legislature stopped that about 10 years ago, which in my mind, several other people, it was a bad move because they're losing millions and millions of dollars. Arizona used to be one of the movie-making meccas of the industry.
Yeah,
and they stopped it. Yeah.
You go to these beautiful mountains and
cliffs
and stuff.
Because of this movie, and the biggest thing was so many of the community people have, the city of Prescott, the Yavapai County Board of Supervisors, are giving us locations that we can use at a very low price. The Dave Michelson, the owner of the Palace, Steve Pierce, Las Vegas Ranch, all these, Mike Fan from the old Highway 89 stretch for filming, said, just tell us what you need and we're going to make this happen. Because they wanted to go first to Missouri and then New Mexico. New Mexico is a mecca now for filming movies. But because of the community getting involved here in Prescott, the studio decided, let's do this. Now the biggest thing is the governor's office called a couple of weeks ago, representatives from the governor's office, and they are really going to feature this film as how movies can be made in Arizona even though we don't give tax credits. how some communities come together and everything else. So this is a big, big plus, not for Prescott, but for Arizona also.
Are other states not giving tax credits now, or?
No, majority are. In fact, Mississippi, they wanted us to go to Mississippi, gives you $1 million just to come in the state to film. And then they will give you the tax credits also. And I fought that so hard. I'm a technical advisor on the film. I don't want to sit in Mississippi for 8 weeks.
It's way hotter than here.
And plus I said,
humidity.
Yeah, and I said, how are we going to make Mississippi look like Arizona? I mean, look at the spectacular area. So, and I finally won that argument because of the community. If the community hadn't come together, the city of Prescott, the county, all these people that I know and was raised with, this would have never happened.
That's excellent. That's excellent. All right, so so what about Mink Creek?
Mint Creek.
Yeah.
Mint Creek Productions is just my own business, and it's predominantly for assisting with the movie industry for locations. I do that on the side, find locations for commercials and so on. I assist with technical advisory, and then it's also my speaking career, which is just, I'm so fortunate because when I retired as a homicide detective with Department of Public Safety, looked in the ads, I don't want to require it, sit home. There's no jobs for a homicide detective.
Of course.
But this new speaking career just started. And, just started. It's been 5 years now. And I'm all over the nation on speaking engagements, which is run under Mint Creek Productions. And I was very fortunate last year. Forbes named me the #1 keynote speaker in the nation.
Wow. That's incredible.
I was just, wow, is right. Yeah, how did that happen? But the lady just happened to be at a seminar where she's hearing all these speakers and wrote this article, and thank you.
Well, I'm very glad to know you. You were really. I'm glad you came and told us about your life. It seems like a really tough life that you turn around. Tough beginning. Well, you turn around and you're helping a lot of other people.
Yeah, and again,
along the way.
And like Juan said, give back. You don't have to have money. Give back and give back your time. Everybody can be a hero.
Yeah. And you are.
Yeah, and also look at this. Look at what you guys do with the Lions. I mean, international, just helping everybody out. So, so we're on the same page here.
Yep, yep. So I'm going to conclude now. We are the Prescott Sunrise Lions, and we'd like to invite you to our club meeting, which is held at Waffles and More at 7 a.m. every Thursday. You will find that our club is friendly and fun, but also very engaged in the Prescott and Prescott Valley communities. We joke and laugh and fully understand our purpose in the community we serve. And if you want to be part of such a group, then become a member of the club. I want to also thank the Prescott Media Center, Jim, Linda, and Emma for helping us out with this program today. And I would like to thank Carl and Vicki from the Sunrise Lions, Prescott Sunrise Lions, for doing the camera work and direction of the program today. We also keep in mind that we're doing a lot in the community. Just like Frank here does, and we'd like more members, as well as that would provide more ideas, because we do a lot of different things, but it all goes back to the community, the Prescott Valley, in this area, the Quad City area, and we really enjoy being here. I would also like to thank again Frank Shankwitz, who started the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and I appreciate you coming.
Thank you, David.